Chinese lenses have come a long way since 2010. From those horrible budget, cheap-looking manual lenses all the way to the last couple of years, some fantastic metal-built, high-quality performing optics with autofocus. And today I want to show you one in particular that I really fond about in the last couple of weeks. And this is 7Artisans' latest 50mm f1.8 for full-frame cameras. Hi, it's Cheng here from RED35 and welcome back to my channel. Today's startup is 7Artisans' brand new 50mm f1.8 for full-frame cameras. I have been using this guy here with my full-frame ZF for my professional shoot for the past 6 weeks. And I must say, I'm pretty impressed with it. But before I go into the details and the analysis of this lens, let me clarify a couple of things before I continue this video. And I actually am going to make a separate video talking about reviews in general, about YouTube's and also within my channel. Okay, 7Artisans did send this to me quite some time ago now, and I've been using this lens in all my professionals like I just mentioned. And the reason to do that is because I would like to get a full flavor of how this lens actually works and how it can impact my photography and things like that. I want to give you real-world examples, not just some random photo to force myself to take, close up to show bokeh or whatever. It's something that I enjoy as a photographer. Being a photographer, I just want to go out and create images with whatever lenses I have in my hand at the particular time. So just being official, 7Artisans did send this lens to me for review because I am really, spoiler alert, liking this lens a lot, apart from a couple of things which I'm going to go through in a minute. So this is not a sponsored video. I'm going to tell you all the negatives and also positives so you can make up your own mind about whether this lens it is for you. First and foremost, let's have a look at the build quality and handling of the lens. Build quality, fantastic. One word, and that's it, because it's full metal build, proper glass elements here. It feels premium, and I'll say that it feels more like a $600-700 lens, that's for sure. The focus ring has some very good resistance to it, quite heavy, but it's silky smooth, which is I really like. The aperture ring, well, if you're a photographer, you may not appreciate as much because it's clickless, and that means you won't have any tactile feedback when you want to change the aperture. And so for me, I actually just basically turn it all the way to A, which means that it's going to defer the aperture control to the camera body itself, so I can just change it with a dial. And that way I can look through the viewfinder and just basically turn the dial. I can feel the changes rather than having to look from top down, look at the lens, what sort of aperture I'm in. And something that I think that maybe 7Artisans could change in the future designs, maybe there's a switch for you to change from click to clickless or vice versa. At the moment, it's just clickless, it's just smooth. So nothing I can say. It's good for videos, but not good for photographers. Another thing that I would probably would like to address is the AM/FM switch, which is good that they have one, but it's bad that it's so easy to change. It's so light, and basically every time I change the lens, it just engages the MF accidentally, and I didn't like that at all. And there are so many occasions I use this lens when I change over from another lens to this one here, and for some reason I was thinking to myself, why is there something wrong? The lens is not focusing. It's only because the MF was engaged accidentally when I changed the lens. I have to switch it back to AF to re-enable it and things like that. So I thought about a solution that by using a duct tape, actually taped around it, so so it can't change. So I have to use the menu to engage menu focus if I really need to use it. But yes, that's something that I think that could be addressed in future design. Maybe I just simply got a faulty product. And final thing is the weather sealing, which is none. Yeah, this guy has no weather sealing there. That means that I cannot use it in the rain. I would like, given the size, to see some weather sealing in the back here, and also obviously within the body itself, so it can be used in rainy situation, which is what we have a lot in England. When it comes to handling, well, I must say that it feels good. It's a really good kind of heavy lens, premium lens, but on a full frame Nikon ZF, it does add up to the weight. It makes it a little bit more heavy to handle. Although having said that, because the ZF body is quite heavy already, so this lens does actually balance the body out quite a bit. So when you're holding the lens, you don't feel front heavy or anything like that, so it actually feels pretty good. But compared to my Sony, the one that I've been using for the ZF for a 50mm focal range, is, yeah, you can see the size difference here is basically half the size and half the weight. I quite enjoy using this guy here because it's so light. Even when I'm walking around in London Street with the ZF, I don't feel particularly heavy around my neck. And so it's something that I definitely appreciate with a smaller and lighter lens. But having said that, you know, for all those people who've been spending money on lenses and gear, you would definitely appreciate the rather premium feeling of this lens right here. So nothing to complain. It's just a personal preference there, whether you want a slightly heavier beast or a slightly lighter traveling companion, depending on what you need. But overall, handling, build quality, top notch. And now let's go to the optical quality, the image quality department of this particular lens right here. And once again, spoiler alert, I just say it out loud right here now. This guy, amazing, amazing. You know, it shocked me how sharp it is. And I have to say that it performs twice as good as the Sony 51.8. Well, I know this guy isn't known for his optical quality anyway, and but it's a decent lens. You know, it's not bad for the price, especially. You can get it for £130. This is a cheap lens. And so it's not bad. But, you know, you pay a few, you know, 30, 50 pound more, you get a much, much better, higher performing lenses compared to the Sony right here. And I would say it's money well spent. Even added that premium on top, is still a relatively affordable lens. You know, for about $200, you get a very, very high quality build and also performing optically for your assignments or anything that you want to photograph. From all my professional shoots, I would say that this is amazing, and it resolved detail very, very well, as you can see from my brick wall. At 1.8 center sharpness is excellent. You know, there's nothing I could complain about. Stopping down only increases the micro contrast to make it even more punchy, more sharp, kind of hurt my eyes a little bit. So peak performance around f5.6, and then diffraction does come in around f11. Edge performance is equally strong as well. Yes, you do see a little bit of softness at the edges, wide open at 1.8, but when you stop down to 2.8, you're going to get excellent details all the way through to f8 before diffraction starts to kill your image around f11. Bokeh and rendering of this lens is also another thing I would like to address. Well, it's very modern, which is something that I think a lot of the modern digital photographers would definitely appreciate. There's no old school kind of looking images there. The bokeh rendering is definitely solid. I like it, and I think that this is something people who haven't shot film before would definitely love the rendering and the look of these images that this lens generates. Very good, very nice, and very punchy. Colors very saturated and very contrasty, so it's really, really good there. Distortion and flare is, yeah, very well controlled for the price. I'm not joking. It's not bad at all. You do have some barrel distortion that needs to be corrected if you're shooting a lot of straight line or architectural stuff, for instance. Apparently, at the moment, Lightroom does have a profile to correct this lens, but for me, I actually think that the profile that Adobe includes in the system isn't particularly good. I just create my own profile to correct it, so it's not the end of the day, but because of the barrel distortion, you do need to add a little bit to your framing wise. You probably add about 3 to 4% just to make sure you have enough to cover the lost pixels once you correct the images, for instance. So that's something to bear in mind. So don't put your subject right to the edge of the frame if you are going to, you know, have to crop it a little bit, for instance. So make sure you are aware of that. Flare is there, is present, but it's not horrible at all. It's good unless you're shooting directly into the sunlight and you've got some ghosting, for instance. But luckily, it does come with a lens hood, so it does help a lot of stuff. Overall, I would say that is pretty good. Finally, is the autofocus performance in both stills and videos. Well, first of all, I would say that it's very decent. Step motors in this particular lens here is fast enough to track most stuff, I would say. For my line of work, when I'm photographing my subjects, let's say doing some candid moments, I just switch on CAF with eye and face detection. It keep up with it, everything I throw at it, you know, whether the subject is moving away back to my camera or just basically moving left and right at the, you know, little kids running around. This is more than enough to track those with perfect accuracy. I think the hit rate is very high, you know, and I don't have a specific number because I'm using it in real life. I don't count numbers, but the hit rate is pretty high here with this lens here. Definitely higher than the Sony f1.8 here. I enjoy using it. I think it's very capable when it comes to stills photography. Yes, it's also good for video tracking as well. It's same speed, you know, if you're not running very fast into the camera or away from the camera, you should be okay with that. But the only complaint I would possibly have is breathing. Yes, it does have breathing effects. So just, yeah, try not to use it if you want to rack focus, especially you got a 51.8, which is quite shallow depth of field, for instance. You don't want to rack focus from closest to infinity very, very often because you do see the zooming effects there, which, yeah, probably not very nice if you want some cinematic results. Well, normal tracking is okay. So if you want to mount it on the gimbal just to follow the subject a little bit, you're not going to notice the breathing as much. You only see that when you're really racking like extreme focus distance there. And then that's something that you just have to understand, appreciate the limitations and work around it. So this is it. This is the review of the 7Artisans 50mm f1.8. What's my verdict? Well, simply get it. Yep, for $200, I don't think you can get better lens than this. And yes, it is Chinese. It is not Nikon. It's not some known brand or anything like that. But if you're a photographer who appreciate good image quality, I would highly recommend 7Artisans 50.8. You know, it's a stunner when it comes to image quality. It's definitely way, way better than the Sony 50.8. And yes, it is heavier, it is longer, and it is slightly more expensive than the Sony. But to be honest, if you care about image quality, get this instead of the Sony version. But if you are more of a traveler, if you appreciate lightweight system, things like that, that may still have an arguing point to getting the 50.8 from Sony and use an adapter on the ZF, for instance. Or if you've got Sony camera, just use this. Full stop. Yeah, because it is light, it is small, it is tiny, you know, just by comparison, look at this. It just, yeah, you can't compare with that. It's still decent quality, you know, I wouldn't say it's exceptional, but you do get some images. I mean, you can do a little bit in post-production to make it like kind of, yeah, look better with this particular lens right here. But if you want sheer quality, yeah, just paying that little bit of a premium, yeah, this guy will not disappoint you at all. So this is it. This is my verdict. And yeah, there are a couple of negatives already mentioned about the AM/FM switch, a little bit about the distortion. But other than that, this guy is pretty much as good as it can get. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about it after you've seen all the sample images and whether you would like to see more from 7Artisans, for instance. I would like, of course, being a Micro Four Thirds photographer, want to see more Micro Four Thirds lenses from them as well. They used to produce a lot of the manual focus lenses, but none so far is autofocus. So I would like to see them maybe produce a couple of them in Micro Four Thirds mounts as well, just to see whether we can gain some more from you guys. But anyway, leave some comments down below to see whether you like this lens or not. Let me know your thoughts about it, and that's it. You know what to do. Thumb if you like this video and sub if you want to stay in touch with all things photography, filmmaking, and of course, more reviews like this. Stay in touch. Until next time, see you all very soon. Peace out. Welcome back to the bonus sections. Yes, I have said it already, and I think Chinese lenses has come a long way for the last 10 years. I still remember the days, you know, when they're all budget lenses and like per gear, like 7Artisans, TD-Artisan, they're all producing budget lenses. Most of them were Micro Four Thirds in there to start with because they're cheaper to make, they're smaller, it's just easier to enter the market. So I've done a lot of those tests with these brands, you know, in the past for Micro Four Thirds mounts. But I have to say that they are moving on now, and I think that there are chances that may still make some Micro Four Thirds lenses, just like the one I just reviewed from Pergear, the 25 1.7. That's a magnificent lens there for Micro Four Thirds. I would like to see more. I would like to see you guys go back a little bit to start looking at some of the mounts as well. I know full frame is everything for now, you know, in the market, he's kind of dominating. However, you know, there's a niche market out there that's demanding a lot of different optics options, for instance. And yeah, just like to see some autofocus options for the Micro Four Thirds mount. That's it, really. But other than that, I'll just have to praise the progress that they're making in the last 10 years. You know, S-Story, you know, the 85 1.8 right here is good. You know, it's not stunning, but it's good. You know, I've been using it for portrait. You see my review on this guy here. I personally like it. I know a lot of YouTubers hated this lens about image quality, but look, I'm a portrait photographer. I deliver my results, and if I think it's acceptable, it's acceptable. You know, that's in my book anyway. I recommend it through my experience, not so much about tests and things like that, more about real life use. And other than that, you know, I think there are definitely more and more manufacturers now doing full frame lenses for Nikon Z and also Sony E mount. RF mounts are coming back again because now Canon has decided to open up the mounts again. But how many of them were going to come and join the board again? I'm not entirely sure after Canon has decided to alienate them altogether. But Sony and also Nikon are definitely taking the benefit out of it because now there are more third-party options out there than any Canon counterparts, because the mounts are open, so people can make their lenses, and now you have options: affordable, premium, in the middle ground. You have all sorts of stuff to suit your budget, which is very, very good. And for me, I think the likes of this guy right here, the 7Artisans f1.8, is a prime example that cheap sometimes can be good as well. So long as you can live with certain deficiencies. For instance, it's not going to be perfect. No lenses are, but there are certainly some compatibility issues. I'm guaranteed it's going to have that, but so far it works for my ZF. But I know there are times when you find that there's some faults or certain systems, certain body, for instance. You may have to require firmware updates to make it compatible. And this is one thing that I probably will address, is that Chinese manufacturers are not always good with the firmware updates. They're not as proactive updating their firmware once the lenses are released. They may do something in the first 6 months or 9 months, but after that they probably just forget about it and looking forward to making the new lens. That's something that I would say premium brands or bigger brands are still better when it comes to compatibility issues. Other than that, I think for the price, we really can't argue. To be quite honest, $200, it works for a couple of years, 3 years, 4 years, with your body. Once you upgrade your body, you probably want a better lens afterward anyway, so you must well get a newer version of this or a better brand afterward. But for good entry level, yeah, you can't argue with that. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and let me know what you want to see next. Until next time, I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.